Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce first the director of this film. Again, you can just, people who are on the side, you can just take a seat in the center, in the chair, same with the people in the back. And if you guys are staying, you might want to just come in and take a seat in the extra spots. We're going to close these doors here. Okay. So first, we're going to introduce director Wolfgang Busch. Octavia. Okay, so if you guys just want, starting with you, Wolfgang, if you wanted to say a few words about the film and just sort of even you know, just if you something about yourself, and then we'll go down and then we'll open it up for questions.
I started videotaping about 5 years ago, balls, and my first interviews were conducted about 7 years ago. And about 2 years ago, we had our first meeting. What I did is I called the community together at the Gay Lesbian Community Center, and I wanted to know what it is they wanted, how do I look to be. So what I did is I brought the ballroom community together, and that was the organizing phase, and then we started the grassroots phase, which was finding out what exactly the ballroom community wanted it to be, and basically they wanted it to show how the contributions they did outside the ballroom community, they wanted it to be cultural and educational. So basically those were the tools that I went out to achieve that goal. Now we are still in a work in progress. And the reason why we want to do a college university tour is because we need to raise funds to finish the documentary, and we need insurance so we can enter festivals. We need to raise funds for lawyer fees, and what I also want to communicate is the artistic empowerment, and basically the idea is to involve as many ballroom members as possible, so not only can they get exposure, they also have a way of making some money from the royalties. It's going to be a split amongst the community. For example, like Octavia, who is one of the stars with Luna, that they're making more money than somebody's only like featured for a few seconds. So it's going to be broken down in different ways depending on the contribution. And also the HIV awareness messages. Octavia had a real struggle going through it, and she's like in tears. And it's really become the ill society the way it is now. Really these traditional ways of educating has really reached a point where it doesn't get through to people anymore. With the HIV virus going up in the community, there really needs to be new ways we have to find and look for how we're going to get through to the children and how we can reduce the infection rate. So from my research, and there's really no answers, I had to kind of come to my conclusion that maybe shock therapy, by showing these graphical pictures and really, this is what happens using like a shock therapy to actually hoping that some children will actually, be more aware of protection and, hoping that we can contribute what we can as How Do I Look project to help people. So I just thought, there's a lot of, organizing involved, and I also want to pass it on now to Luna Octavia. Thank you.
My name is Luna Ortiz. I'm also in the house of Manolo Blahnik. I've been in the scene since 1988 when I became a Pendavis. I've been a Pendavis in Extravaganza, Latex, and now a Blahnik, 2 years. And this is my mother, Octavia. One of the main reasons why I wanted to be in this version in this film is because of the HIV/AIDS. It was lacking in Paris is Burning, and I felt that I teach at Hedrick Martin photography, and a lot of my youth, and a lot of gay and lesbian youth are becoming infected. So this was a way for me to sort of tell my tale, tell my story. Being infected at 14, how can I, give some sort of prevention in speaking and telling them my tales? And this is my main reason why I wanted to be in the film. And also because a lot of the kids in the ballroom community have died, and there's a large population of youth that are coming up. And for me, it's always about the youth because they're the future. So this is, my reason.
Hi, my name is Heavenly Angel Octavia St. Laurent, and I'm the mother of the house of Manolo Blahnik. And the reason why I wanted to do this project was a lot deeper than just the issues of ballroom scenes, HIV positive. It went a little more extreme for me, just by trying to live in a utopian society, in being myself and being proud of myself and who I am and what I am, to give the youth an opportunity to recognize that who you are and what you are, whatever you are, is just as important and just as special as anybody else. Whether in my case I was born a third gender, I didn't have a choice, nor do I feel like I should be in denial by not letting anybody know who I am, or dating guys, for an example, not to tell them what I am. I have to accept who I am, like we all do. We have to love ourselves, we have to respect ourselves. And of course, things might be harder for us if we allow society to make it hard for us. If you believe you're worthless, you are worthless. If you believe that you're more than something, then you are something. This is not just an issue about being gay anymore, or straight, or HIV positive. Those are issues that's been with us and will always be with us. It's about equal opportunity, equal rights, to educate men and women, whether you're in a dress, or whether you're gay or straight, to show the women the powers of being women, their weaknesses, the weaknesses of being men, and their strengths. Unfortunately, society is afraid of me because I'm probably more man than they'll ever know, and much more woman than most of women will ever be. And it's not something that I'm trying to insinuate insulting, but I have to help you understand why you can't understand me, and why so many people take so much hatred, prejudice, and misunderstanding, interpreting it to hate towards me because of my differentiality, which is unfair. And I will not allow to be broken. I will not be allowed to be shunned or told that I am less than. I have to be, and I am, and I always will be a man, and I'm proud to be 150% man. I'm not trying to be a woman, only beautiful, only to accentuate who I am on the inside. And that's why I'm doing this project.
film, someone talked about sort of what happened after Paris' burning. And could you just describe sort of what did happen? Like sort of
Well,
what
Paris'
fallout or
burning
whatever.
for me, are you asking me?
Yeah.
Paris' burning for me was very, very sad, you know. I was at my worst of drug addiction from beginning to end in Paris' burning. I had no experience in life as a human being, let alone a third gender or transgender. I had so much self-hatred for myself that I was on the verge of suicide by many attempts. Paris' burning is a reminder of who I was and what I've become. It was a part of reality that was too much for me and a lot of the other people to handle. And I guess the expression Paris is burning was perfect in my aspect because a lot of us was burning, you know, in more ways than one. And when I look at Paris' burning, I don't understand the concept or the understanding that other people get by seeing it, because I don't see it. You know, people say it was a great movie, we were fabulous. To me, we were idiots, and we were fools, we were insecure, we were liars, we were thieves, we were drug addicts. We weren't real to ourselves, and society took it as a part of our reality, which was not the impression that should have been given.
I have a question, and this is really directed most toward you, Octavia, since you worked with Livingston, Danny Livingston, Paris burning. In what ways do you think your relationship with Wolfgang is different, and his approach to the film? How does he really seem to bring out the best in the community, or how does he seem to represent the community as opposed to?
Well, see, that's the point. We're not trying to bring out only the best. We're trying to bring out the worst. Because my reality, I truly believe that the heterosexual or utopian society couldn't deal with it. Being gay is okay. Being a lesbian is okay. Being a drag queen is okay. I mean, you got Will and Grace, you had RuPaul, but what about people like me who does not want to be categorized as anything that, what about people like Luna, who is a teacher and who has the ability to educate people and to take it a lot further for what it's worth. It's just not about, I'm sorry, I can't really express it the way I would like to, but I'm sure you get my drift. Anyone else?
I wanted to know, I know many of us heard, I just remember when Missy's Work It came out.
A big pardon?
I remember when Missy's Work It came out, and I'm sitting there listening to the song, I'm like, this sounds so much like I had seen Paris is Burning, not her the vocabulary and things used, and I guess I don't know the people on the mic or whatever. And it seemed like what she did was directly taken from what was exposed in Paris is Burning. I wanted to know, did you all feel like your culture is being trivialized or it's being commoditized?
Well, straight people in general, if anyone's straight here, I don't want you to take it offensive, but straight people are always a lot beneath us as far as beauty, fashion, ideas, education. Most of the industry in music, in the art form, are all homosexuals, all gay. Most of the women who are women are taught by drag queens or transgenders or third genders. This is the realistic, this is the reality of what society is. They wouldn't know nothing about beauty, about art, about cultural, about UNOX, about the history of UNOX, about the history of third genders, and how the men performed as women in our history. And it's something for centuries. I was reading an article about 1947 when Rita Hayworth and Ava Gardner, there was a famous transsexual, I don't remember her name, but she was giving the women classes on how to be glamour girls. So we've always been the base of whatever is on top of us. We've always been what society is, you know? we are, without us, they would actually be nothing, you know. We're the fashion, we're the makeup, we're the arts, we're the singers, we're the entertainers, the dancers, the performers. I mean, it's our world. It's just, they just convinced us so badly that it's not, that we tend to just really believe that they're the ones running things when we are actually. So I don't take it as offense at Missy Elliott. She's just another girl trying to be one of us, you know? There are other two people up here, you know? Anyone else?
Yes.
Can I have two?
Yeah, you can have an
I have one for the director and one for the two of you. To you, I was a little shocked by seeing one of the little clips by Michael Musto where he manages to say in one sentence, these empowered communities who are channeling their anger in an appropriate way. And given that Latinos and African Americans tend to be compared or related in stereotypes to violence, I thought it was really inappropriate. So I wanted to know how you felt about that. That piece in particular really made an impression on me. And then to the two of you, it's really interesting to see how the film deals with how the categories of gay and transgender are not so mutually exclusive. Like in the US American system, we talk about this is sexual orientation, this is gender identity. And in the house balls, you have this opportunity where the relationship of gender and sexuality seem to be more fluid, and people talk about being a butch queen, a femme queen. So there's inventions of gender and sexuality that are different than in the ways in which, I guess for lack of a better analysis, white folks usually do. So I just wanted you to comment on that.
In Michael Musto's, the way I interpret it is that when aggressions build up in you and you're looking for an outlet. And you know, when I was growing up, my outlet was going to the disco, dancing. The ballroom community, their outlet is making a dress, you know, putting on makeup. So they have their creative outlet, how they turn their aggression into creative flow and bring it that way to the runway.
Now you were asking me what is the difference between the, why is there so many categories as far as?
Yeah, and I wasn't thinking just about the runaway categories, but I was thinking about just how people manage gender and sexuality much more fluidly, right? So that's not exclusively
well, when I was growing up, it's a very different world when it comes to gays and transgenders. And it was much more different from me because I've never been accepted by the transgenders. Only because I thought I wanted more. I thought I deserved more in life. And they looked at me like I was crazy. I was called crazy because I would go on auditions for straight parts in movies. And you know, I wanted to work. I didn't want to prostitute. So they took me as thinking I was better than them, when in fact, I didn't think of myself as that. I just wanted to have a life. I just wanted to live. As far as the gay community, most transgenders, they're not in a gay community. At least they would say they weren't, you know? It's a totally different lifestyle between the gays and the transgenders. And for me, it was, I've been alone for so long because I wasn't accepted as a butch queen. I wasn't accepted as a transgender, and I wasn't accepted as a girl, and I wasn't accepted as a boy. So I had to be in my own world, but it didn't stop me from going through. We're all the same, I guess, you know, but you're categorized by the lifestyle you live. You understand? And that's why they'll say butch queen, because you can be a butch queen and be gay. Gay is someone who you don't even know is gay, lives a normal life, and you got butch queens who look nasty and, you know, like doing trifling little shit. That's the difference between butch queen and being gay. It's like being a faggot and a gay man. You could be a faggot, which is not a good thing, but there's a lot of them out there. Then you could be a gay man. And a butch queen is more of a, was a standard word for the ballroom scene, but it pretty much means faggot.
Yes?
Yes?
I have a question for the director and also for the two panelists. One of the criticisms that is continual about Paris is Burning, that anything you read about Paris is Burning, even articles that lightly criticize Jenny Livingston for being absent in the film. So she is a sort of a presence that you never actually see. You hear her once in a while, but you never actually see her. And that's been criticized by everyone. Why have you not appeared in the film? Why have you taken a decision to repeat that absence as a white guest to the scene? Why have you decided not to be a part of the film? That's the question for you. And the question for the panelists is, once again, you're being filmed by a white person. Once again, your story, or many stories are being told by a white guest. What do you think about that? What's that about?
You answer first.
I'm not quite sure. When I did the research, when I brought the community together and asked them, what would you like, how do I look to be, I heard all the stories, what went down with Paris is Burning. They didn't want this, they didn't want this, they wanted to make sure it's cultural educational and show us what we do professionally, what we do outside the ballroom community. The whole creative and fabulousness, that was all like secondary. They wanted to be represented in a proper way, real. Octavia said, come over my house, I want to look real. No makeup, no nothing, I want people to see how I am. So I think it's all about the build on realness, and as far, and that's basically all that's my intention. I don't need to go into this, what Jenny Livingston, this, that, and the other. It's just my intention to produce the best documentary possible on a community that was exploited in all kinds of different ways, and maybe a white man from Germany can come in and can make things better. You know, it doesn't have to be a negative that a white man...
No, I'm not suggesting it.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that one of the criticisms of Jenny Livingston is that she basically doesn't present herself as profiting in any way from the experiences of the people she films. So by making herself absent, she really is making herself absent.
Look at it as a natural progression.
Why are you not in the film? Why do we never see you?
Oh, actually, you do see me.
Wolfgang, he doesn't have to be present in the film, because to us and the people he's filming and the community in the ball scene, he's present to us. He's always been very open about what he's doing, what his intentions are with the film. He's always wanted the community to respond. You know, he's collecting letters of support from HIV organizations to people in City Hall, you know, in the entertainment business. So, you know, he's always included us. Whenever he's doing anything new, he'll email everybody in the ball scene and address it to us and say, look, this is what I'm doing. If you're interested, I'm having this, that, whatever. So he's always made us aware. That's one of the reasons why I jumped on it, because, you know, unlike Jenny, who said she was working on a student film and didn't tell us what they were doing, Wolfgang said, I want to do this film about, you know, the ballroom community, the history, you know, HIV and AIDS, you know, and all of that. So he's present to us. He doesn't have to be in the film at all.
And who gives a shit if he's white or not? I mean, we're all trying to get the same point across. Just so happened they were white. And personally, I think white people would really appreciate us a lot more than black people. And this is something that I know from experience. I don't deal with straight black people because they just are not equipped to handle us. It's just the way it is, simple as that. Let's keep it real. I don't fuck with them, don't date them, don't talk to them. Okay? If they don't like me, it's okay. You know? I don't have anything to do with black people, and black people are their own worst enemy. Why the fuck do I want to let them in my community to fuck me up? You know? I don't deal with it. And I'd rather deal with white person. Jenny Livingston just happened to be a con, that's all, you know, she was a shady con. You know, you can't judge everybody on that, you know?
And I think by trying to be transparent and bringing the community together is really something that to make them feel comfortable to even be part of the project. I also have to go through different phases, you know, getting access to individuals. It wasn't like they were coming out and, yeah, I'm definitely supporting Wolfgang. It's not like that. I had to reach certain points, had to have a screening so people could see the direction that I was going in order to open up the doors to more ballroom children. So it all was somewhat of a natural progression. So there's no pushing. I try to protect it from outside manipulation and negative energy flow, and just try as hard as possible to let it be a natural artistic progression. And that's what makes it the beauty. And once that falls into place, the natural progression is actually starting to move forward. Then it eventually falls all into place. So look where we are today. This is all part of the natural progression. Do what we think we got to do. And as long as your heart is in the right place and you involve the community, you ask for their input, what can we do better? I'm hoping to get some input from tonight, what to make better, and just take one step at a time.
Are there any heterosexual men or women here?
You looking, Octavia?
I'm just, well, you know me. Are there any, can I hear from some, all right, what is your idea of what you saw and what do you perceive this to be like? We're trying to not only hit the gay community. Gay community is really hard-hitting, and it's going to take a lot more deaths. It's going to take a lot more tragedies amongst the gay community for them to get the message. Because you as a woman and being heterosexual, what message do you get?
I think that just all the things that you're talking about, loving yourself and sort of liberation in just being proud of who you are and having that space where you're like creative, you make something, you get that approval. I mean, I think everybody's looking for a community, no matter like what your sexual orientation is.
Mm-hmm.
And like this whole scene and the ballroom scene and the movie and shows a community with some very serious issues. But as a heterosexual woman, I take a lot of the self-love that takes place and expression, like that still has a lot of meaning to me.
Any transgenders here? Any others? Any transgenders?
About the movie. How has, since like starting this movie and doing this project, I know it's still a work in progress, but since like doing this, how has all of your lives changed, if it changed at all? What has been added to your lives from making this project? And my second question, like I know when this project is finished and is like really put out there, a lot of you are going to be, all three of you or more, are going to be getting attention for it. Like, what's the number one thing that you want people to know from you doing this project? And, like, what's I could say the message that you want to send, but what's like what you're really trying to get out there?
Well, what's happened for me since Paris is Burning, I've had lots of celebrities proposition me, and I've turned them down. I've been looked at as some sort of sex toy, an experiment that men want to feel or get a grip on. And my answer to you is, I'm just a human being trying to live a life. I understand to them, it might be something new and beautiful and has you getting a hard on and aroused or whatever mental capacity that heterosexuals in their sick ways twist them to be. But I'm totally unaffected by the way men perceive me or the way women perceive me. I'm only interested in who I'm perceiving myself. I mean, I don't really socialize with society too deeply because they're really screwing each other over now. I mean, you know what's going on in America and whatever now. So I don't expect much from them. I've learned so much from experiences in life that I'm so much more smarter than they are. I'm stronger than they are. And it has nothing to do with them being weak. It's just that we live in the real world. You know? The women are married to these men who are coming out, dating the girls, going to the peep shows with Busch queens. And you gotta sit back and you say that straight people don't have a clue because they're infecting their women They're doing things behind closed doors like Eddie Murphy, who knows me very well. You know?
How well?
Very well. You know? And what hurts me about him is, if anyone was, after this meeting, and it will be filmed, they asked me, what do you know about Eddie Murphy? I'm not interested in destroying his life. I'm more interested in destroying his wife's life. I couldn't do that to her and his children. You understand? You think about that, so we tend to stay quiet, not for them, but for the women, for the children. They come out and they're monsters, they're horrible, they're disgusting, and they're perverted. And the women that they're married to wouldn't believe a word you said about them. And these are the reason why we have to start speaking out. Because these men who are famous or straight or perceived to be these macho guys are coming out behind their wives, their children, having oral sex, being the women behind their women's back. Celebrities, doing all kinds of shit, and it doesn't hurt me because they're the worst kind of faggots. Because they're the faggots that'll call you a faggot and beat you down. And when they're by yourselves, they want to suck your dick. And go home and kiss their wives and their children in their mouths. And society is so closed-minded to reality. They think we're the fantasy, baby. No, no, no. They're living the fantasy. How many governors you know? Or cross-dressing? I know plenty. Or smoking crack. I've gotten high with quite a few. All right, so I want to give reality not only to us, it's going much further than this. So be very, very careful, because I'm queen of queens. I know every star who's doing it. I know every politician, because I'm mother. I'm the oldest. Everything that's out there, I don't give a shit if it's a queen in Africa, it's getting back to me. Okay? So I know everything about everybody because I am mother of all queens. And I want the women to know, be careful. Don't think because you fell in love, don't think because he's everything you dreamed of, that it's time to remove the condoms. You want to have children, take your husband to get tested. Trust no motherfucking man. I don't give a shit if you're married to him for 100 years. If you're married to him for 100 years, I don't give a shit. You want to have children, get tested first. Because you don't know what your man is doing. And the bitches out there talking about, oh no, not my Michael. You're the one that's going to get it. Next.
I'm a black gay man, grew up in New Jersey, came to New York for college, and was very much around the ball scene. I never walked overall, but very much wanted to and never had the courage to do it. And Octavia, you were becoming legendary then, and you're still legendary now. And it's important for me as a black gay man to have seen this film because, you know, I've gone to college and I've been working now for 17 years, and I saw in that film people who passed away who I knew, who I did not know were dead. So, I mean, this is a continuation for me, not of Paris is Burning, but of my life here in the city. And I think that that's also an important aspect of all of this. And the man who was here earlier, I think the conversation that he was trying to bring up is about us telling our own stories. And unfortunately, there appears to not be the resources or the interest for us to tell our own stories. But the fact of the matter is that these stories would look very different if we told them ourselves.
Yeah.
And I think that's the challenge to us, to sit down
there's
with
one
our...
thing about us as the people, or being gay. We have no problem taking spoonfuls of the truth and swallowing it. We have no fear of the truth. The heterosexual society is terrified of the truth. They don't want to talk about it. They don't want to hear it. The churches don't want to hear the truth. The mothers, the fathers don't want to know the truth. Society is terrified of the truth. And you must understand, they hate us because we are the truth.
And I also wanted to add a question for you, Wolfgang, and that is recognizing that, and I hope you do recognize that there is an issue about your being an outsider, and not that there's an issue with you doing the filming, but the fact of the matter is you have a lot of responsibility as the person who has done the filming, and now you're going to do the editing, which is a very important aspect, because you're going to decide what are the important parts that the world is going to see. And I'm wondering how involved these people are going to be in the editing process as they were in being filmed.
Very good, very good question.
The way it's working, I come up with a suggestion, which is not only the editing room, also promotional material. What I do is I work on the project, we have private screenings, and I present it to the community. So there it is, this is what I've done, now hit me. You know, what is it you don't like, what do you want to improve? One of the criticism was in the beginning, because I came into the community through the old school, and one of the criticism was, where's the young children? I mean, they're all sitting in front now. And so I started looking, I've listened to what they say, and then I'm looking for the right person to take that place. Who in the young generation would make a great presentation, and Roxy is here. And for me, I think Roxy is a great story, because not only what she represents within the younger generation, also where she came out from, her history. How did she get to where she is now? So to tell her story, where she, goes to school and where she hangs out, it's all part of what I try to bring out as far as the younger generation, and show, where actually do they vote for the first time? Where, how do they inspire other people? How do they inspire themselves? And so I'm, Roxy, who happens to be here, is one of the subjects that I'm also still have to look into. So the younger generation will be more involved also. But again, the editing room, it's not, I come up with the ideas and I make presentations, screenings, and then I let them decide. Because unless Octavia is happy, I'm not going to be happy. So unless we're all happy, I have to go back to the room until it's, everybody's happy. And, if it takes 10 years, it takes 10 years. But it's not a time issue, it's making it right.
Yes, really.
My question is for all three of you. Through this movie, what kind of message are you trying to send? Like, I understand that, you're trying to explain the HIV and all the ballroom scenes about this and the gay lights of this, but what message do you have for somebody that, like, let's say 10 years from now, when they see it, right? Like, let's say my nephew comes out gay, right? How would he?
There's only one message through the whole movie.
Like, how would he?
You have a right to live. You have a right to love yourself. You have a right to have a life. Choose it wisely. There's much more to life than what's been taught to you. Use your own imagination. Everybody's not going to see the movie the same. It's like reading a Bible. It's the same words, but you can ask a bunch of preachers to give you a whole bunch of different terminology of it. So, but you got to get one aspect. It's a point of just, it's okay to be you. It's okay. Of course it's hard, but that's what makes you better men. See, it takes you to try to be a woman, to really find out what it's really like to be a man. And this is why we're more men than men are, because it takes a lot of man to put on a dress and walk down the street. It takes a lot of man to say, yes, I'm a man, motherfucker, and what? So you're actually more man than the guy who's heterosexual, because it took you courage. A man is a leader. A man is someone who believes what he wants to believe and sticks by it no matter what. What choices are you making? But of a true man. Be proud to be a man. And be proud that you can be a strong man and yet a beautiful and magical she-male. Simple. Don't ever try to be a woman. They got enough problems. You don't want to be no woman. You know what I'm saying? You are something that is magical and beautiful and spiritual and biblical, if you read the Bible. The history of us is through and through. You understand? It's okay. Just be you. You know, don't try to be anything else but you. You wanted to ask a question, sweetie?
Yeah. A lot of us sitting here in the front row, and I know as Roxy, we've been in the life, and we've watched you as you've been in the life, and you deem us as new kids. And I just want to know, from Octavia's point of view and from Luna's, what advice do you have for us as new kids coming into the world?
Use condoms. Luna's line, use condoms. Use condoms, that's it. Use condoms. I'm 40 years old. I've been very fortunate, okay? Let's hope a lot of us can see 40. Let's hope a lot of us can see 20, okay? Just don't let your dick overpower your brain, because once it comes down, you're gonna sit back and say, oh my God, what did I do? And God forbid, it's the last thing you ever do. Yes? You're only saying that because it's true. Yes? You?
Oh, right here. Yeah. Okay. I just have a question as a new person to New York. As far as it goes for like the club scene, like it's very different from back home and like you see in Baltimore. There's a lot of age progression when you go out to the club. So everybody's passing out condoms here and there. And then you come up here to New York and it's like mad different. Everybody's just doing their own thing. It's not a lot of, you know, like prevention. So as a newcomer to the ballroom scene, as a new voter to the scene, how can we make recommendations to our peers and to the people that we come in contact with daily, you know, to remind them that safe sex is okay, there's nothing to be embarrassed about?
That is so easy to answer. New York is so apple pie. You know what America is, especially New York. New York is all about image. It's all about what people think. So everybody's always worried about what other people think of them. So they don't want to discuss things that might make them look bad or make them seem suspicious or someone to talk about, maybe. New York is all about phoniness and fakeness. It makes California look like nothing. Because it is California, we all know when you're going in there, everybody's made up to be something that they're not. It's a part of history, California. New York is just too ashamed to be real. You know, you got people who want to keep it. Their image is more important in their own lives. Their image is more important than telling someone that they're HIV positive and they'll have sex with them, knowing that they are infecting them. Not some of the times, not even just to be being evil, because he has been taught by New Yorkers, keep it on low key, you ain't gotta let anybody know, pay it. And then it comes to a time where he starts believing it so badly that, fuck it. You know, I got it, I'm living with it, it's no problem. We have to make them talk about it. We have to make them say, look, it's okay for schools to teach the children, look, if you're straight or gay, AIDS is vicious. Have condoms, have sex classes, show videos of AIDS patients, straight or gay. Show little children who are 4 and 5 about AIDS. They're very hush-hush about the bad things in America. They're very hush-hush. And this is something that we're going to have to really focus on. Because America is all about image. New York especially, Washington, you know the routine. They don't want to talk about it. Before they, you know, in other countries, you go to other towns and they say you go to prison, there's condoms in the jail. You know perfectly well those men are having sex. But if you go to Rikers Island, there's no condoms. They don't want no parts of the reality. This is what we're dealing with. People who think we're living in a fantasy when they're actually are. Yes?
I just, with what you're saying,
So you really stand up, I can see you.
With what you're saying, it really scares me that Washington's new plan for sex ed in schools is to reteach abstinence. And I don't think that'll work personally.
And I mean, so how do you have any ideas for getting it into the schools, sex ed and AIDS and HIV education at that early age? Because
Probably go back to the way we were trying to do it before in the 80s when we were trying to find new ways to educate the young people. I could go back to 1988 when I was 15, and I was going to the high schools teaching high school students how to, protect themselves. In the movie you saw an animated HIV, I did that with my friend Sean Atkins, and that's just another way to find a new way to teach people about HIV and AIDS. Well, that's another thing too, the parents, we need to educate the parents so they can talk to the kids, because I'm infected because my parents didn't talk to me about HIV and AIDS, and again, it was the 80s, I don't blame anybody, it was a different time. But also what the guy right here was saying about Washington and New York, when I travel, I think that New York is the mecca of teaching HIV and AIDS. We've always been in front, fighting, war, this and that, HIV AIDS prevention. When I travel to other places, I don't see condoms or anything. I don't see anybody doing that. I mean, the House of Latex is not in DC. The House of Latex is in New York. And I don't know what clubs you were going to in New York, but every time I go out, I always see somebody trying to hand me a condom. So, it all just depends on,
we have to really teach youth that sex is no longer a priority of being masculine or a sense of, if they don't want to talk about AIDS, let's talk about virtue. Let's talk about culture. Let's talk about honoring your body to a point where let's help them understand that sex is not a bad thing, but you're too important to give it up so freely. And when you do, let's treat it like it's a temple. Okay? Let's help if they do not want to educate kids in school about AIDS and about condoms, then let's educate the children to value themselves a lot more in schools. To take celibacy as a special priority. To teach the 13-year-old boy that if he's a virgin, let him think, well, I'm a virgin, I'm better than the rest. Make them all want to be better than the rest. Let's help girls to show them that their bodies are more precious than anything on earth. They're already been punished by God. Let's help them try to stop being punished by themselves. I mean, no offense, but let's keep it real. You know what I'm saying? Let's help them understand they have more to themselves than what history, the Bible, or whatever gives them. A woman is the most powerful thing on earth. Her only weakness is her heart. Let's help them educate them in those aspects. You understand? Let's help them educate them as far as stop being the feminine. It's okay for a woman to be a man too. It took a woman to teach a man to be a man. It's not in the sense of being a sexual thing. It's a thought process. Not what you are, who you are, and how you think. A vagina is an open wound. Let's teach kids to value it as to be protected at all times. As a woman, let's not even talk about the disease. You have children, girls growing up waiting for Princeton, and you teach your children from the start that men are superior and women are princesses. How about teaching the children we're all equal and we have to respect ourselves to our upstanding value, then we can respect others.
We have time for one more question.
Sure. Yeah?
Okay, I just want to try to go into the section that Wolfgang requested for. One of the biggest things for me, as in Paris is Burning, is that a lot of people felt misrepresented because that what was the whole ballroom scene. To me, that's impossible. The ballroom scene is worldwide. It's not a subculture, it's a culture. And what I see a lot happening in this movie as well is that a lot of maybe contradictory or whatever, a lot of terminology and a lot of beliefs are being shown and thrown around. And as a member of the ballroom community, a young member, and a person of the transgender community, and that just happens to be attracted to somebody of the same assigned genetic sex. I wonder, well, I'm asking, are there steps being taken to, in fact, ensure that this is an opinion of people who chose to rise to the occasion of an entire worldwide community?
I'm kind of lost with you right there. You're trying to say that the ballroom community is not giving what it's saying?
No, that's not what
And what are you trying to say?
I'm trying to say, what I'm asking is there are, like with Wolfgang and stuff in this movie, are there going to be steps taken to ensure that this is in fact the opinion of a couple people of a large community?
Oh, okay.
Because some people might look at this and say, okay, I see 15 transsexuals and they're all labeling themselves something different.
Well, this is what I just said earlier.
Exactly.
We're all going to look at it, we're all going to get a different perspective of it. You understand? All we can hope is, even though there are a variety of different perspectives, there are two issues that are very important. Be proud to be yourself and use condoms. Whatever other thing you get out of it, it's on you. It's what makes you an individual. I mean, don't think that the ballroom scene is a positive thing. We both know that it is not. You have high and you have low. You have your drug addict scene and you have your ballroom kids. It's just as realistic as anything else. You have your negative and your positive. The ballroom is just a different world of negative and positive.
Just some final comments and questions. Wolfgang, Luna, and Octavia, first of all, thank you again. On behalf of NYU and Shades, we wanted to present you with something. Shades at New York University recognizes each of you for the generous support and the outstanding contribution you have made to our programming efforts with your film, How Do I Look?
Well, how delicious of you.
Each of you. Could you tell the people how, number one, when is the expected release? Do you know? And okay, and number two, what would be the best way of contacting each of you, or
they can go to our website, howdoilook.nyc.org, and there is a contact, and we can email.
And personally, I don't think the movie should be released until it is totally intact. We do not want to make the same mistake as Paris Is Burning. We don't want to mislead people to believing anything that is or is not true. Do you understand? This is our lives and we're our futures. I want 10 years from now that straight people, rich people are saying, when I grow up, I want to be a millionaire, I want to have a Porsche, I want to have a beautiful blonde and the finest transgender I can find. I want it to be a part of life, not segregated from life. I don't want us to be a secret any longer. Let's stop being a secret. Okay?
Excellent. Once again, we want to thank, one quick announcement, two quick announcements for all of you. Remember Wednesday, Keith Boykin, 7 p.m. in the Violet Cafe. And also on February 25th, there's going to be a talk by Imani Henry. And the name of that is B4T, before testosterone. And that's going to be really interesting. That's going to be February 25th. Jessica Pettit is going to be passing all of these around. Please, stand up, another round of applause for...
Right there, this will be Goldie. I want you to talk to this gentleman here.
Yeah.